Hello and welcome to this episode of Let's Talk. Today it's gonna be, Arturo,
Michael?
Earth to space. Where are you?
Who is this? Commander Michael?
Tell me more about the actual gameplay experience. Has anything changed to the demos we saw, like EVR, then Eve Valkyrie betas, not betas, but the preview builds that they showed at E3 and Gamescom?
Sure. From the demos that we played in Gamescom and of course on EVR, the main thing that you can try now in Alpha is you can get to take a look at the progression paths of the game. So there are 3 different classes of fighter. There's the fighter, the heavy, and the support. At the beginning, you only have the fighter, which is the main assault class that has the guided missiles, which is the staple of the Eve Valkyrie experience. And then you have a Gatling gun. But there are also other ships that are of the fighter class. There are also bots in game. So if you... Yes, so the thing is you don't know at the beginning they're bots. But I started playing and suddenly I saw that many players had weird Nordic god names or something like that, and I'm oh, these guys must be Icelandic or something. And then as I started playing, I'm oh, these guys are really playing Valkyrie 24/7. Every time I log in, they're playing. And then I read on Reddit that hey, these guys, the guy that's called Thor, that's playing 24/7 and is always online. It's actually a bot. So yeah. That's why also they did the Battle the Devs thing they did the other day, in which 10 or 12 devs started playing Eve Valkyrie and the European server and the NA server, because you have both options when you open the game. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we had quite some fun. There were some that were really good. It's I can tell you actually made this game. They knew all the bits and pieces
to hide in, right? And
yes, and they, the experience was awesome because you started to learn how this game is gonna be great when you are communicating with your teammates. There's the option to create a squad, which I already tried. So you can go with other players on TeamSpeak or on Ventrilo or whatever, mm-hmm. and you can actually talk to them, create your own squad, go in-game, be on the same team, and you see their ships with a different color. They're green, your teammates are blue, and the enemy is red always. And that way you can know exactly where your friends are, and you can start following them and go in a squadron aiming for a specific guy, for example.
So what I'm interested in is how deep is the experience? Is there the complexity in your video that you put up on our channel? Is you said it's gonna be more the Doom of VR than, let's say, compared to it could have been the Counter-Strike. So is it complex enough, or is it more action and very simplistic?
It's hard to compare right now since not many people are playing, but I've already seen quite the difference between the better players and the players that are not so good. For example, you can see that a lot. One guy can get 35 kills in one match, and you get 1 or 2, and you're oh, I'm so bad even at this game that only 10 people play. So the thing is, as you progress through the game, you start to see new layers of depth and different gameplay mechanics that you can use that you hadn't thought about. For example, with the starting ship you get, with each ship you have 2 ways of shooting, or 2 guns, so to speak. So in the first ship, the Wraith, the right trigger is the Gatling gun, which just shoots straight ahead and has an overheating animation and sort of mechanic. And then with the left trigger, you have the guided missiles, which is the really, really interesting thing that everyone gets hooked on when you start playing Eve Valkyrie, which is really satisfying.
I remember it. It's it's a round with a rocket launcher, right? You're putting mm-hmm. bullets in manually, and then you can release them whenever you want. So you could load 1 missile in and then shoot this one, and then you can use that tactically because there are the countermeasures, right?
Of course. With the X button, you have the countermeasures. So the thing is, you have to look at your enemy, which may not be the same way your ship is facing. You can be facing one way, so you turn around, look at the enemy, press the left trigger, and a round thing starts filling up with a number of missiles. And you let it go, and the missiles launch. But that guy gets a message and in the HUD when they're locked on the target of somebody else. So you see, like, for example, 4 icons of small missiles in front of you, and you start hearing beep, 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 and then you turn around and you can see the missiles coming for you. So then you press X for the countermeasures, which are like 2 small turrets that go from the top of your ship and start shooting in 360, bah, 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 and those will shoot out the rockets. But as you were saying, you can use that. You can say, okay, this is really simplistic, but then you can add another level, which is like, okay, I won't shoot all my rockets in the beginning. I will just shoot 1 or 2. So I'm trying to bait the guy into using the countermeasures, and once the countermeasures have been used, it has a cooldown, so you have to wait for like 20 or 30 seconds or whatever. So then you're completely on your own, unless you have a support ship next to you, which can heal you.
Or you can only try to like hide in the architecture of the level, right? Like just like in Star Wars, you see in the trailer going through structures.
So the maps are, well, obviously it's in space, it's wide open, but it also has some structures, some like abandoned buildings or like rocks standing there. So you can always turn around, see that some missiles are coming your way, and try to sneak in or hide, because the missiles won't avoid or collisioning with objects, obviously, right? So you can just turn around. You have a boost that also has kind of like a cooldown, so you can't be like boosting all the time. You have to use that very carefully. So I usually save that for when somebody is following you, and then you can like boost and go. If you don't have the countermeasures or you used it and they're shooting at you again, you can just go around the corner of an object or start spinning around in circles, which is also something that I saw a lot of people comment on Reddit, that they were like, yeah, the gameplay is kind of like spinning wars, because you start following a guy and locking the missiles on them, and you shoot it at them, so the guy starts spinning, doing loopings, so the missiles that are following them don't hit, because it starts following you, and if you keep spinning,
the missiles can't turn more than like 180 degrees, and then they really flow straight into space and hit whatever.
They can, but as long as you're turning and you're not going in a straight line, maybe they don't catch you. The thing is, it sometimes gets in a thing where the enemy starts spinning around, and then you start trying to spin more in order to see him, to lock target again, and it can be like you see 2 guys going so, but I found that happened mostly at the beginning when you start playing. Then once you start to get the hang of the game, it's like if you start spinning, you know you're not gonna get anything done, because if both of you are spinning and you shoot the rockets are not gonna get there, because the trajectory difference is too much, and the projectiles would just explode when you launch them. So you have to really know your positioning in order to get the missiles to hit.
Okay, let's talk about the options for a minute, because I really want to know. There are like 4 graphical options: low, medium, high, and epic. How do they differentiate? Is there even a difference?
First of all, the menus. Let's talk about the menus for a minute here. The menus are really interesting, and the interface is one of the most interesting things, because it's a really different way of experience, of doing like user experience and user interaction. So the thing is, you're like sitting down. You're this pilot that's sitting down and has this layer of options in front of him. So you can turn around. In the back, obviously, you don't have anything, but you can see like a nice setting that's built there, like a hangar or something. And then you have different icons in front of you, and as you look at them, and even as you get close to them, text starts to appear. So like a hangar.
So they're using
options.
Actually what you're also already doing a lot in VR. If you can read the text, you're leaning in to read it, just like if you get older and can read so well.
Also, there's an option like to browse the different maps, which will also in the final game have like a single player experience where you can go into a map and just explore it on your own, because the game is super actiony, in your face, like shoot, dodge, do this, do that. Sometimes you just want to explore and be like, oh, this is awesome, and it will have that option, but not in the alpha. But I think that's going to be really interesting for people to get into VR for the first time. So you're watching like the map in front of you, and then there's a little text that explains everything, and at the beginning you don't see it that well. Of course the DK2 has lower resolution than CV1, but you're like, hey, if I can't read it, I should just like lean in, and you lean in and the text obviously becomes much bigger, and then you can read it perfectly. So it's that kind of experience. As far as graphical options go, yes, it has only like 4 presets. Other options are like sound, which is just like different levels of audio.
And no advanced options, so you can't go like medium, I want high textures, but low motion blur and like epic effects.
No, not in the alpha at least. But the thing is, I actually went from low to epic quality, and as you can see, it didn't make that big of a difference.
I mean, you see like a little bit of a lower resolution within the cockpit, within the lighting. Like that's a little bit different, the shadows moving. But you are so immersed in the experience, I guess, that you really don't notice. And even on low, it still looks very, very good.
I mean, I noticed it mostly in like the particles when your ship like explodes and you have pieces floating around your face. Maybe there's less of that, or like the smoke that comes out, or the little like mini map you have that's like a ball in the middle of the cockpit, that also may be less detailed. But as far as things that are far away, or the quality of the environments or stuff, you don't get to see that difference that much, and you're so immersed, as you were saying, that it didn't make a difference for me regarding performance or regarding visual quality. You could tell, but it wasn't a huge turn off for me to have it in low quality, for example.
So this sounds a bit like it's not a demo, right? It's not like the Star Wars Battlefront demo that was released. It's also a beta. Like all the betas you're used to from the last couple of years that were released, they were actually demos of the game, or they felt like it at least. And this feels like the fully fledged multiplayer experience with all the unlockables and everything, just not the single player campaign where you'll have the voice of Battlestar Galactica stars and everything.
Yes, it has all the progression aspect of it, and I think, well, maybe in the final game there's obviously more progression, more ships and more stuff, but it doesn't feel like you're gonna unlock everything in a week. I've been playing for a week and I just unlocked my second ship, which is still a fighter class, so I still have to get 2 more classes and all the ships that go with them. You have a lot of unlockables, you have your character progression, and then you have your class progression, which is different. You can choose from 4 different ships when you launch into a battle. So maybe if you have 8, you can only load out like 4 using something called the launch tubes, and you have to spend money, which is silver called in game, in order to unlock those tubes. So there's definitely a lot of progression and a lot of customization that can be done. I don't think it will feel stale once you play for like 1 month or a couple of months or 3 months. I think it's something that you will pick up and play. And then, definitely, if you like action shooters, I think you will enjoy this for a long, long time.
And then you will move over to Elite Dangerous, which is still like my high point of VR experience that I had.
I still have to try that. I haven't tried Elite Dangerous, but I've heard some really great stuff about it, so we'll have to play. Definitely, this is completely actiony, and although it has progression, it's pure dogfighting or capturing points. Also, it has like a conquest mode in Battlefield where there are like 3 hotspots in the map where you can go and deploy drones, and you start to capture all those, and the opposite team, their points start like decreasing when you have the points captured. So it has obviously different modes, but it's still an action game. It's not an MMO, or it doesn't have that persistent feel.
Okay, viewers, so if you still have some questions for us regarding Eve Valkyrie, you can put them in the comments below. just quickly, we also started another playlist on our channel, which is called PC Master Race Reality Check, where we are going to check whether new PC games that come out hold up in terms of new features like 4K, 144 Hz, or playing with a Steam controller. I started this playlist with Dragon's Dogma, which actually does very well in all of these regards. You can also check this out. We will put what is it called that we put in the banners in our video?
Yes, we have a small card over here which you can click to go to that video.
Exactly. So yeah, check out the card if you want to watch this. And there's definitely coming a lot of new stuff next week, because Arturo, you're going to join me in Germany for almost a week, and maybe you can check out Elite Dangerous there. We are trying to set this up.
Not maybe, for sure. We'll have to check Elite Dangerous.
The support is very, very fishy at the moment, but we'll try to set it up. If it's possible, we are going to play it next week. Yes, among other stuff. I'm also working on the next PC Master Race Reality Check with XCOM 2, so you can look forward to this as well. Woo, nice. And on that bombshell, we say goodbye and see you next week. Have a nice weekend.